Abhijit Mani, Associate Director, Program Cycle, Boogie Belson, Principal Advisor, and Shrikant Venkatesan, Senior Lecturer, Materials and Structures. So welcome everyone. So this session is actually divided into two parts. In the first half, the panelists will brief you about the complete program structure and few key information about the programs offered by the Academy. And in the second half, we'll be taking questions. The panelists will be taking questions from, will be answering questions from the audience, which you have sent through Google Form. So please check that you send all your queries through Google Form, which will be taken at the end of this session. And now I would like to call Professor S.K. Barai to please introduce our audience about the program and tell us about this partnership. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Siddhi. Just wanted to check with all the participants. Can you hear me? Any one of them can just reply yes, no in a chat box. Excellent. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Good to have all of you during this information session for BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy. It's a wonderful occasion. First of all, heartiest congratulations to all of you for having a great performance in your BITSAT, because that is the inroad for this wonderful academy between the two premier institutes which are internationally recognized. As you know, that BITS and RMIT, BITS Pilani, which is in Rajasthan, Goa, Hyderabad, Mumbai, and Dubai, and RMIT, you know, which is in Australia and Melbourne. Two premier institutes, transnational experience. This is going to be the exciting part of this academy. This information session is exclusively designed for all of you so that you can get the clarity about this academy. You can get the clarity about various programs which are offered between these two institutions, and to get an overview about what's going to be the life like to be a part of this premier higher education academy. To just tell you briefly about the BITS and RMIT Higher Education Academy, I want to convey to all of you that this particular academy has been a first of its kind, a very unique experience, which is going to be provided to every student who will become a part of this academy, because of very simple reason that both institution enjoys the excellent education ecosystem. And that is what it makes it very, very different in be it the pedagogy, be it the innovation, be it the industry readiness, be it the creating the entrepreneurial skills. All these are very, very important part of the students' journey at BITS and RMIT. So this is something which is going to be a very exciting part because it gives you best of the both world. This particular program is designed in such a way that not only the national but international experiences student can have during his or her stay in BITS and RMIT, staying in India, staying in Australia, and converting the learning which happens through this academy, makes them to be industry ready, to the research ready, to be part of the exciting world outside, be it internationally or be it in India. Basically, the main intent is that this academy is going to make you a global citizen in a true sense, because this is the place where I think the best of the both world you're going to enjoy. In terms of the opportunities, I must give you an assurance to all of you that both academic institutions have a great credentials in terms of the employability, be it India or internationally. So if there is an element of a doubt in any of our participants, I think they should be taken out from the mind. You need not worry too much about the employability part of it, because the kind of a training and the kind of a academic program which you are going to go through, that will make you so much that you will be in a demand rather than you will be looking for an opportunity. To add it up on the top of it, I must say that both the institution has a great ecosystem of entrepreneurships, innovations, and the startup. That is something where instead of looking for a job, we also create the people who can be the job creators. And that is where I think the both institutions will provide you an excellent opportunity to be the part of that startup ecosystem. Above all, I must say that the BITS and RMIT has a very strong alumni network. and that is becoming a great support system to any of the students who will become a part of this academy. So overall, I must say that an excellent education ecosystem. Welcome to BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy. Wishing you all the best for this session. Feel free to ask questions. Our panelists have done an excellent presentation, and they will be part of the Q&A session with you to clarify your doubts. And also, we are very happy that our first cohort student who has been with us, Ms. Harshita, she's also become a point of contact for you also to get any kind of a clarity. As a student point of view, might have certain doubts in your mind. So welcome to this information session. I wish you all the best. Have an excellent session, and looking forward to hosting you to BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy and looking ahead to beyond the horizon. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like Professor A.P. Singh to please brief the audience about the program structure and the admission guidelines.
Yeah. So thank you, Srishti. So welcome in this particular webinar. I am going to discuss some salient points of this particular program, as Professor Barai mentioned. So we have created BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy, which is its own kind, where we are going to offer 12 degree programs, and BITS Pilani as well as RMIT University both are going to offer the programs in such a way so that the first 2 years students are going to study in BITS Pilani, one of the campuses, and next 2 years, third year and fourth year, students are going to study at RMIT University. Now, in this case, as Professor Barai was mentioning, that the curriculum was designed in such a way so that you can get the best of both worlds. BITS Pilani, an institution of eminence, which is known for its academic excellence through its curriculum and highly recognized curriculum structure. So I am going to discuss about this. Next slide, please. So the beauty of this particular program is that once after completion of all the courses, first 2 years in BITS Pilani and next 2 years at RMIT University, students are going to get 2 degrees, and both degrees are going to be separate. So that, say for example, a student, if suppose they are going to be admitted under this BITS-RMIT Academy in civil engineering. So B civil engineering they are going to get from BITS Pilani, and B civil and infrastructure, which is an honors degree at RMIT University, they are going to receive from RMIT University. So as far as the curriculum is concerned, it is basically modular, flexible and credit-based system, and we have designed the program in such a way that first 2 years, the courses which students are going to do, they are going to get the credit of those courses when they are going to study at RMIT University. So complete prerequisite, co-curricular, requisite, etc. All those things is actually going to be fulfilled by the design of the curriculum itself. And of course, as all of you know, that BITS curriculum is a broad-based foundation where a number of courses in first year are being taught, which is going to give you a complete understanding of concepts and fundamentals of the courses, and in second year students are going to do the core courses and general awareness and professional courses. In fact, all students of this academy are also expected to do a summer term either after first year or after second year. And another very important feature of this curriculum is that from first semester of first year itself, one course under the category of future technology skilled courses is also going to be offered by RMIT University, professors of RMIT University, and they will be teaching this course, and evaluation, assessment, everything is going to be conducted by them. If you see this particular slide, so foundation courses in science, mathematics, engineering, foundation, technical arts, those type of courses are prescribed in year 1, and then summer term, and then in year 2, actually foundation courses, mathematics, professional, then future technology skilled courses, and core discipline courses at basic level are going to be taught at BITS Pilani. And then once after completion of these courses, then students are going to move to Australia at RMIT University, and discipline core and elective courses they are going to do there in both the 3rd year and 4th year. Again, the curriculum is designed in such a way so that these particular students are going to get opportunity of capstone projects. So every students of this academy is going to do 2 capstone projects in 4th year, 1st semester as well as in 2nd semester. And in fact, those capstone projects are going to give a flavor of research internship and industry internship. So for these students, actually, we have very judiciously designed the program in such a way so that these capstone projects can replace the practice school or thesis option of our existing system. So that is again one of the very well designed structure. And at the end, after completion of those discipline electives and capstone projects, students are going to be awarded the degree by both the universities, and 2 different convocations is going to happen for these students. So that is how this program's progression. Here it is. Next slide, please. Now, after this, we have this particular slide talks about the fee structure. So year 1, you can see here that in year 1 is yearly fee is about 7,95,000 tuition fees at BITS, and then in 2nd year it is 8,34,500 fee, and of course one summer term is going to be utilized, either summer term between year 1 and year 2, or year 2 or year 3. So if year 1 and year 2, the fee is going to be 1,39,100, and if it is in after year 2, then it is going to be 1,46,000. And in Australia, the tuition fee is 43,200 AUD. It is a 2024 rate, and which may increase maybe if it is required at a rate of 7.5%. And another beauty of this particular academy student is that this in 3rd year and 4th year, students are going to get 20% scholarship in the tuition fee. So that is again a very, very plus point in this particular program. And so other fees at BITS Pilani, you can see that it is basically a very nominal fee of mess, electricity, other advances, then student hostel fees. For Pilani it is 41,300, and for Hyderabad and Goa campus it is 55,500. And at RMIT, if you see student services and amenities in each year, it may vary, but maximum fee may be about $351 or so. Overseas student health insurance and all those things also is going to be taken there. So these are about all these details. In fact, if you now, I think next slide is about application. So we can go to the next slide. So in next slide, here it is not there, but just I would like to tell you that as Professor Barai was mentioning, that the admission process is done through this particular BITS ad. So if you go to the BITS website, bitsadmission.com, actually on the left side, you will see that there is BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy tab, and if you click there, you will get all the details. You will get about the uh, application brochure of that. You will get frequently asked questions, where most of the questions answers we have prepared based on our knowledge and experience in the past. And also what you have to do once you are going to apply, because the last date of application is 3rd July, and once you are going to apply at BITS portal, it is going to ask you whether you are interested in BITS-RMIT Academy. If it is so, then you will be seeing there 5 programs. So we are offering 5 programs. More details is going to be discussed later, but B computer science, B electrical electronics, B electronics and communication, B civil, and B mechanical. These are the 5 programs. Of course, the B mechanical and B civil is being offered from Pilani campus, B electrical and electronics and B electronics and communication from Hyderabad campus, and B computer science from Goa campus. So these are the 5 programs we are offering. So you can give the preferences of these programs in the application form, and then merit list is going to be prepared, and the different iterations are going to be performed, which is going to be shared to you in timelines. In fact, timelines is also given on the portal. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so the next, I would like to call Professor Abhijit Mani from RMIT to please brief the audience about the admission procedure there and the RMIT filling of applications. Over to you, Abhijit.
Thanks, Indy. Thank you, everyone. So welcome, everyone. It's very good to see you here, and thank you for keeping those questions coming through. We'll answer most of them as we go through the slides today, but also through the Google Sheet, so we can communicate that. Next slide, please. So as Professor Singh was mentioning, so we've got the list of the programs in the BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy. So we have civil and infrastructure engineering and mechanical engineering running in the Pilani campus. We have electronics and computer systems, as well as electrical engineering running from the Hyderabad campus. And for the first time, we're launching this year for the 2024 intake, we're launching software engineering, which will, via the Goa campus, which will partner up with the BE computer science at Goa campus as well. Now, all of these undergraduate bachelor degrees, so they're the 2+2 model, where the first 2 years will be in India and years 3 and 4 will be in Australia, Melbourne, with RMIT University. And for those of you who are on the call and also may be interested in further studies, we have a number of PhD programs that we've also established with BITS as part of the Higher Education Academy. So for those of you who are interested, please do reach out and we can definitely provide you with more information there. Now, the next slide is just a little bit of a video. So it's not very long. So I'm just hoping to show you a little bit about the Academy and RMIT.
Melbourne, I think, is a very pretty city and definitely very lively during the day, very peaceful in the nights. I think the campus is really integrated with the city. The transport is right there. You know, you're just walking out of class and then you're like, okay, maybe we should just go to the mall and have lunch. Plus, all the study spaces, I think that is another difference from back home. They're just there for you to just go, chill, hang out, study. I think I love that about the campus and I'm very excited.
So that was just a quick snapshot of one of our current students in the BITS-RMIT program already, who finished the first year as part of the dual program. Now, a common question, and it's come across quite clearly in the chat, is some of the benefits of a BITS-RMIT higher education program. First of all is obviously the global outlook, and it's the experience of studying in two world-class universities, and also having the chance to transition quite easily into overseas study or international study, studying in Melbourne with RMIT University. Now, as part of the Higher Education Academy, it's 2 degrees, which means you complete 2 bachelor degrees in engineering you will receive 2 testimers, 2 sets of transcripts, 2 graduations, 2 ceremonies as such. So you will get the benefits of 2 degrees in the same 4 years' time. Another important thing is that when you are doing your first 2 years in India, you will actually study some of the RMIT subjects. So across the first 2 years, you will do 4 subjects from RMIT from the start. So by the time you shift to Melbourne, you will already be familiar with RMIT systems, RMIT rules, RMIT policies. And so when you come in and join in year 3, you won't be like a new student with us. You would have been studying with us for almost 2 years. The other opportunity that this thing provides is career outcomes, where we're having 2 degrees from 2 world-class universities, one from India, one from Australia, is that your outlook is suddenly opened up and you have options across the world. It's not just limited to India or limited to Australia. The RMIT programs are accredited by Engineers Australia, and Engineers Australia is a signatory to the Washington Accord, which means the engineering degree that you get as part of this academy is recognized in more than 18 countries. So if you are looking to move to the US or Singapore or New Zealand or Europe, these engineering degrees are going to be valid and recognized wherever you travel across the world. So it's a true global education. Next slide, please. For those of you who may not be familiar with RMIT University, so we're one of the largest universities in Australia. We're based out of Melbourne City, in the state of Victoria in Australia. We were founded in 1887, and in student numbers, we're one of the largest institutions in Australia. We have 5 campuses. The majority of them are based in Melbourne, but we also have a massive campus based out of Ho Chi Minh City and Saigon in Vietnam, where we're the biggest international university based in Vietnam at this stage. There's over 450,000 alumni, and as Professor Barai mentioned, that this is an opportunity for you to become an RMIT alumni, but also a BITSian. And as he mentioned, the BITSian community is so strong and is present all over the world. A quick fact also is that we have, in Melbourne alone, we have almost 90,000 students studying with us across 196 countries. So we're truly global and multicultural in our presence in Melbourne. Some information about our ranking is on that slide up there in front of you. We're 10th highest in Australia, globally ranked 123rd. We're in the top 100 for graduate employment. Some of our degrees, especially in architecture and built environment, are ranked #1 in Australia, and we're in the top 10 for civil engineering, mechanical, electrical, electronic, and computer science as well. So you are truly getting a global, world-class, world-standard education, 2 degrees in the span of 4 years. Some of our RMIT University kind of prides itself on making sure that our students get industry experience while they're studying. And this is done through a number of opportunities. Some of it is through work integrated learning, where you sit down and your projects or your case studies and your coursework is done with industry. Some of it is capstone industry projects. And as Professor Singh mentioned, in years 3 and 4, you'll have the opportunity to do 2 capstone projects. There's also international work opportunities and internships. And depending upon the program, some of these will be available to you as well. The other bit is that RMIT is known to be hands-on in its approach. So you're not going to be, just doing all theory all day. What our brand and what we're reputed to be known for in Australia is that you learn hands-on, you learn in our laboratories, you learn via simulations. It's not theory. It's not all just theory. We look at creativity, we look at problem solving, and the main thing that we look at is working with industry to solve industry problems. It's not just learning about theory and then not being able to solve or help industry or even the community with the challenges of today. Just a quick snapshot of some of our facilities. So what you're seeing there, so the first image right on top, which looks a little bit fuzzy, is actually some of the buildings that we have in the city campus in Melbourne on a bright sunny day. And you might not find a bright sunny day very often in Melbourne, but you'll definitely find those buildings when you come across and visit us. And those are some of our clean rooms and clean laboratories. I think one of them is our micro nano processing center, where we fabricate some of the micro nano chips that we use in our projects as well. The other kind of key thing about RMIT, and this is unique to us compared to other Australian institutions, is that many of the projects and the work that you do is actually side by side to world-class researchers. So it's not that just because you are an undergraduate bachelor degree student, you can't meet some of our researchers or use some of our world-class facilities. You're all in the same facilities and in the same buildings. And you never know, you might be doing your project alongside someone who's a world-class researcher traveling all across the entire world, working with large companies across the world. Now, before I get into the details about applications, the application timelines, and some information about living and studying in Melbourne, I just want to also call out that on completion of your bachelor degree with RMIT, you'll also automatically become eligible to consider master's study. So for those of you who are keen to pursue studies in master's programs, we have some really good options for you where rather than doing a 2-year master's program, you can actually get your master's in just 1 more year. And that's because you're doing a 4-year Bachelor of Engineering between BITS and RMIT, and that makes you eligible to complete an additional master's in just an extra 1 year. So if that is something that you're considering or interested in, and that this can happen at any time during your study, do reach out to us, and we can definitely give you more information on which master's programs we have and what those options and pathways are. So now, entry requirements. So on the left, you'll see the entry requirements for the BITS Pilani programs. And on the right are the RMIT entry programs. Now, the RMIT entry requirements are very much completing your year 12 or your 10+2, your +2, usually through State Board or CBSE or ISC as such, with the percentage listed there. The key thing to note is that we're really insistent on you completing a maths course, which obviously most of our state boards and CBSE and school boards already provide. So we need a score of 60% in your maths. Now, one of the key things that's coming up in the next slide is that you have to meet RMIT's English language requirements. Now, the English language requirements can only be met by an English language proficiency test. Now, this is your IELTS or TOEFL or Pearson's Test of English, or PTE. Now, the scores are listed there. So it's 6.5 with no band less than 6 for IELTS, an overall score of 79 for TOEFL, and an overall score of 58 for the Pearson's Test of English. Now, if you haven't registered to sit for this test, it's important that you book and sit this test as soon as possible, because your final offer and your final enrollment at RMIT cannot happen until we have your English language results. Now, you can still apply now, and you can submit your application without your English language results, but it's important that we need your results by the 31st of July, 2024, and I'll cover the timelines in the next few slides. You need to submit your English language results by the 31st of July for us to send you the offer paperwork. So remember that date, 31st of July, that is the key date. The other thing that I do want to call out, sorry, my throat's getting a bit dry here, is that RMIT, for the students who are successful in receiving an offer and accepting and joining our 2+2 dual degree program, RMIT will reimburse 50% of the cost of your test up to a value of 8,500 rupees for the candidates who successfully come through the program and are part of the 2024 intake. So we will reimburse 50% of that. Next slide, please, Boogie. Sorry. The BITS-RMIT Academy application dates are slightly different to the usual BITS dates. And Professor Singh, please correct me if I've got any of this wrong. So the links to the portal, so the BITS admissions portal and the RMIT admissions portal are on your left-hand side. So there's just some QR codes. The main thing is, first step, you have to apply through the BITS admissions portal, and you have to indicate the BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy as your choice. Second part, once you've applied through BITS, you have to apply directly through RMIT as well. The link to RMIT is on this slide right now, and you have to apply by the 10th of July. Once you've applied through BITS and once you've applied through RMIT as well, you then have until 31st of July to give us your English language requirements. Once we have all of that, we'll be able to issue you with your offers. We will be running iterations similar to other applications for BITS Pilani and going through admit lists and wait lists from the 11th of July onwards. So from the 11th of July to the end of July, we will be issuing offers. Some of them will be full offers if we have your English results. Some of them will be conditional offers if we don't have your English results, asking you to provide us your English results by the 31st of July. So again, if you haven't booked in for your English language test, please book in as soon as possible. Thanks, Louis. Next slide. So just very quickly, 5 reasons to study in Melbourne. So Melbourne has been voted most livable city for a number of years now. It is very, very multicultural. As I said before, we have students from 196 countries in Melbourne at any given point of time. I can proudly say we are the sports and entertainment capital of Australia. For those of you who are interested in cricket and are going to be staying up and watching the World Cup on Saturday, just remember we have something called the MCG. And at the end of this year, India will be coming across to play cricket here. We have the largest Indian diaspora in Australia, and that makes it easier. So it means that if you do want to make Maggi, or if you want to have your spices or your dals or your rajma chawal or anything like that, all of those ingredients are available. There's shops in every suburb if that's what you're looking for. And the last point is the industry connections. So Melbourne is one of the largest business capitals in Australia, second to only Sydney. We have all the big organizations recruiting and employing and working with universities in Melbourne, whether it be banking, whether it be technology, whether it be infrastructure, defense, and so on. We have all those industries working with us in Melbourne. Now, common question is about accommodation. So there are three types of accommodation that are available to students in RMIT once you're in Melbourne. You have private providers. Now, these are private providers who give student accommodation where you can rent a room, a studio, or an apartment with them, whether you can choose to share with friends or you can choose to live by yourself. The plus point of these is that these providers are usually very close to campus. So you're usually just across the road or 2 lanes down, so you can literally get up in the morning and just walk across and you'll be in the university. They also give you one price, so it means it takes care of your internet, your electricity, your heating, your water, everything. All you're paying for is basically your food and your personal expenses. The negative side is that they tend to be a bit more expensive because they make it convenient for you. The next option, and which is the most popular option that we have, is basically share house, where you get together with a group of friends and you rent a house or an apartment. It's in a suburb that's a little distance away from the campus, and you manage all the expenses on your own, which will be internet, phone, electricity, lighting, heating, and all of that stuff. And lastly, when you come here, many students, they choose to stay in short-term hostels. This is usually for about a month at most until they get used to the weather, the climate, the environment, and they make some friends and they find accommodation for themselves. One of the things I wanted to call out was the transport options. So Melbourne has a tram network, which is the little map on the left, a train network, and each dot that you see there is a train station, and on the right-hand side is the bus network. Now, these are quite comprehensive, and they basically cover all parts of Melbourne. One of the key things to remember is when you're looking for accommodation, the closer you are to the center, which is where you can see, the rectangle on the left, the small little square in the middle, The closer you are to the center of the city, the more expensive your accommodation gets. But having said that, with a public transport network that is clean, it is safe, it is on time, and it is efficient, it's quite affordable as well. You can look to stay a bit further from the city campus, and you can still get to classes on time. You can still get to part-time work on time. As international students in years 3 and 4, you will be eligible for part-time work. So you can work for a number of hours every week in addition to your study. These are now the weekly costs of living. Now, these are very approximate costs. Please don't, these can change depending upon your circumstance, the type of house you find, the type of internet you choose to subscribe to, how much entertainment you want to have in a week, what type of food you want to eat, and so on. These are very much average. So as you can see, the city, in terms of weekly rent in the city, it's between $200 and $300. But if you go out to Bandura, which is a suburb in the north of the city, where RMIT has another campus, you can automatically see that the rent is cheaper. And that's because it's a little away from the city. Brunswick, again, is another campus for RMIT, and it's probably just about 8 kilometers from the city center. And you can see, again, it is slightly more expensive than Bandura, not as expensive as the city. Food is an approximation. This will come down to the type of food you like to eat, how much you want to spend. Again, phone and internet, like anything that we have in India, if you choose an expensive provider, it'll be expensive. If you choose a cheaper provider, it'll be cheaper. Again, public transport, we have a free tram zone that's in the city. So depending upon where your location or accommodation is, it can be up to $50. Sometimes you might just be able to walk down to the campus. The university itself provides a lot of support services. So we have offices and departments to help you with accommodation. We can point you towards community boards, social boards, people looking for housemates and roommates. We have a job shop that can help you with career advice if you're not sure, if you need help with CVs, if you need help with interviews, and so on. We have a chaplaincy and some religious support as well. We have counseling, disability support if any of you require that. We have a legal advice department as well for anyone who needs that, and also safer community if for any unfortunate reason you need the support because of some incident that's happened on campus. Now, one of the things about the accommodation advice, RMIT does have a private partner that manages accommodation for us, and that's based out in the Bandura campus. Now, we don't own that accommodation, but we have partnered with that so that accommodation is on campus. RMIT as such does not have accommodation. We don't have student accommodation as you would normally see for some other universities outside of Australia. What we do have is some partnerships where we can connect you with some private providers. The majority of students in RMIT, and when I say majority, not just international students, it's domestic, local students as well. The majority of them rent and they are living in share houses. That is the most popular form, most affordable, and most convenient form of accommodation that we have in Australia. That's what most students are doing. Just very quickly, we have almost 160 different clubs, from sports, social clubs, photography, hiking, dancing. There's a Bollywood dancing club. There's some traditional dances, traditional sports. There's 160 different clubs. And we know once many of the students who are listening in, once you're in Melbourne, hey, you can submit a request to start your own club. If there's something that doesn't interest you, and you can start your own club, and the university will support you in doing that as well. Next slide, please, Boogie. Okay, I'm going to save my breath for a little bit. Thank you all for being very patient with me, and I'm going to introduce our panel. We thought, I've been keeping one eye on the questions coming through, and a lot of them are similar questions. So we thought we'd set this panel up to answer many of those questions for you. So I'd like to introduce, and I hope that the cameras are working. Associate Professor Desmond Wang, Dr. Srikanth Venkatesan. Both of them will be involved in running many of the engineering programs that you will be applying to. And Harshita Bandari. Harshita, welcome. Harshita is a mechanical engineering student. She is currently part of the BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy and recently visited Melbourne as part of the immersion tour that we run for our first-year students. Thank you, panel. Dr. Venkatesan, your camera still seems off.
Is it? I'll retry that. I hope you can hear me. Let me try that again. Can you see me now? Because I can see all.
We can see you now.
You.
Yeah, we can see you now.
Good. Just a reset button. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for the first question, I'll throw to Associate Professor Desmond Wang. Welcome. Professor Wang, could you maybe talk to us about career outcomes, job outcomes, and kind of current employment trends in the Australian market for many of the potential engineering graduates that we have here?
Yep, and thanks for the question. And I will probably start with something a little bit more general and then move a little bit more to the program that I am looking after. So firstly, because for both BITS and RMIT, both universities are very famous for being very hands-on, very practical in terms of the learning and teaching. So our graduates are actually in a very strong position for jobs in Australia, in India, as well as in other countries, generally speaking. Taking our recent graduates, undergraduate graduates as an example, we have seen an employment rate for our graduates recently, roughly sitting around 90%, 85% to 90%, generally speaking, especially for the program, the Bachelor of Engineering, Electronic and Computer Systems Engineering program that I am looking after. We pretty much are looking at 90% consistently during the past few years. In general, because of the growing industry needs in both India and Australia, as well as in other countries, we are seeing the employment condition to be very strong in the recent years post-COVID, especially with the economy recovering. Still using my own program as an example because I'm more familiar with electronics and computer systems engineering. Our graduates have been finding jobs in many different areas, in the traditional electronic circuits area, in the traditional telecommunication area, in the network engineering, cybersecurity domain, etc. But also we have seen a lot of cases where our graduates are getting very good job opportunities in some industry not directly related with electronics and computer system engineering. For example, in mining industry, we have seen quite a lot of employment happening to our graduates as well. So overall speaking, I would say from the statistics that we are getting, from the feedback that we are getting from employers, our graduates are in a very strong position overall.
Thank you, Professor Wang. I'm going to shift to Dr. Venkatesan now. Dr. Venkatesan, can you talk to us about and explain a bit more on the capstone projects? This is something slightly different, but also similar to what students would normally experience in the BITS engineering programs. What are the capstone projects? What are the type of projects that we do? And what are those industry connections that students achieve through these projects?
Okay. Thank you, Abhijit, and all the panel members. Really excited to speak to all the potential applicants and the parents group. I'll answer your question, plus I'll add a little bit about the civil engineering as well towards the end, if you don't mind. With the capstone project, projects are like a year-long project. The students come in and they do the project in the one as well as in semester 2. And most of these projects are industry-based. Sometimes the industries would come in and give a pretty important topic that they want to know. And so it's a kind of recruitment of the students for that particular project. For example, Australia has a bushfire kind of natural hazard every time. So this year, one of the industries have come forward to design a styrofoam-based bunker type of a housing, and they wanted to check whether what sort of strengthening is required for a structure like that. So our students are working directly on that project. So in semester 1, they will work on the theoretical aspects, and then in semester 2, they will work on the more details of the project and submit their report to the clients. So very interesting projects. And then there are other industry projects where for example, the industry wants to test the buckling behavior, or they develop a kind of new material and they want to know whether that material can be mixed with concrete. So those kinds of exciting projects, they'll form one stream. Then the other stream is where the academics have their own research projects, and the students will be given part of that research element. So not the very big project like a PhD, but some elements of the PhD support material. So they will have research projects. That will be kind of type 2. Then the next one will be more innovative projects, more of a conceptual. For example, what happens with 3D printing? Can we print a slightly different kind of material? So those kinds of projects will also come in. And what we care about is the load that the students can take. We don't want to give an entirely very difficult project or a very small project, somewhere where the students can chew and learn. So that's the kind of capstone projects we generally give. Just on the other part, because Desmond touched on his area, one of the things that I have always found is that civil engineering has a pretty good market in Australia. Over the last 20 years, I've seen that the infrastructure, there has always been a growth of infrastructure projects and the construction industry and the residential sector. So those are all very exciting opportunities. The reason I say is that in India, for example, you can study very different engineering subjects. You can study electronics, you can study computer science. Computer science may be even more easier to get a job. But as far as Australia is concerned, civil engineering is in very high demand. It has been like that almost, except for a couple of times, I've seen that in my career. And students should utilize that opportunity and make a good impact. Furthermore, there are other areas like where the government is progressing to a net zero emission of 2050, etc. In that case, the support of the engineers, especially the civil structural engineers, mechanical engineers, is very much required. So all in all, it's a very great opportunity for students. And as you rightly said, Abhi, they should utilize the opportunity to study at both these universities and enhance their careers. That'll be my advice.
Thank you, Dr. Venkatesh. And I'm going to shift now to Harshita. Welcome, Harshita, and thank you so much for sparing your time to be part of this webinar. One of the questions that we had is, and I'm sure everyone who's on the call would be very keen to know, you are a first-year student, or you've just finished your first year. You were part of the immersion tour that happened earlier in May. Tell us about share your experience with us. How has the first year been? How has it been part of the academy, and also your experience with RMIT?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your question. So to begin with, a very good afternoon to everyone present. I'm very excited to share about my journey with BITS, the first year in BITS, as well as the recent immersion program to RMIT. Being in BITS is actually a dream come true, and BITS has lived up to every expectation and beyond. And as you enter the campus, you see a sign which says BITS Pilani, it's magic. And I would be wrong if I don't say it is magical, because it is an amazing experience. The first year was amazing at BITS. And I've experienced a lot of things, be it being taught by the highly knowledgeable teachers or being an integral part of the fests. I've also experienced a lot of emotions, being highly stressed during the exams or being on high adrenaline rush during the fests. But all of this has been amazing just because of the people around, the remarkable teachers, the seniors, my friends. They all have given me such unforgettable experiences and memories that will last a lifetime. Moving on, being a part of RMIT is just like another star that is added to my kitty. Like this program is so enriching. It's a very enriching experience, and being taught by faculty from both BITS and RMIT is an experience everybody should yearn for. So we recently visited RMIT for an immersion program, and if I were to describe it in one word, I would say it was just perfect. The moment we entered Australia, I would say we were embraced with warmth and hospitality that Australia is known for. Everything was so meticulously planned and implemented by Ma'am Boogie and everybody around. It was so perfect. And our visit was made so smooth and productive. I mean, I'm just out of words when I talk about the visit. And we had several interactions with the BITS alumni, with RMIT faculty, with the students of RMIT, as well as the Indian club, and everything was highly impressive and fascinating. We also had the pleasure of going to the main city campus and the Bandura campus, and the pleasure of attending the very famous and renowned AFL game. We had no idea about what is going to happen, but it was just so fun looking at the crowd spirits. We all were so engrossed in the game that we did not even know when it started and when it ended. But overall, we're just looking forward to come to Australia in 2025 and continue our journey with RMIT. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harshita. Harshita, it's really good to hear what your experience was like. This is probably, I have one more question, and this is for both Professor Wang and Dr. Venkatesan. So one of the questions we get very commonly is that because the BITS-RMIT Academy students will join us in their third year in Australia, how do they catch up with their local counterparts in making their connections, reaching out to industry, improving their peer network? Obviously, they'll have their fellow BITSians and their fellow classmates who will come across and will be working and studying with them. But in terms of local companies and the industry partners that we have, what would your advice be on how they can go about making those connections?
You want to go first, Desmond? Or you want me to go first?
Either way, probably.
Okay. The first thing I would say, the easiest way to connect with people, especially at the undergraduate level, is sports. If you're good at any sports, Australia loves all forms of sports. So that's a sort of an icebreaker. And then after that, there are clubs, like there are other activities that you can join. And that's one thing. Then when it comes to the teaching side of things, the way the other one is like group projects. For example, we have a project where the students have to make a steel beam and then a concrete beam, etc. Then the students will have to work as a group. And the groups are a little bit randomly chosen. So in that sense, then people have to start working with each other. Yes, your question is right. That initially, when people come to another country, there's a kind of there's a little bit of a slack period, but over a period of time, I think it gets adjusted, and students easily start mingling with each other. Our programs are also designed to bring in that engagement with the students, so it will automatically come in. What do you?
Yep, thanks, Sir Kenneth. I probably will firstly echo on the point about the clubs and communities, student communities available at RMIT. For example, I know there are clubs working on Formula One race cars, which is a very popular club at RMIT. Students from different areas, they come together and try to design and test a model of the Formula One race cars. Students, for example, coming from electrical engineering, from electronics, from mechanical, from as well as from the manufacturing, etc. They all come together from materials engineering. They all come together and work together. And that's a great way to get used to the RMIT style, as well as to know better about and to make more friends at RMIT. So I think the clubs is really a great way to do. And another thing I just want to add a little bit more on is about be bold and reach out to our academic staff, because the staff, so all the information, expertise about each individual academic staff is available at RMIT website. And the benefits of doing that is the academic staff with a research area that match your interest may have some great opportunities for you. For example, we have some colleagues who work together very closely with Robert Bosch, and they have a lot of industry connections and industry opportunities where you can join other intern students together and work on industry projects. So the thing I want to highly recommend is don't be shy and reach out to our academic staff, who will be happy to provide support, to provide advice, and to provide opportunities.
Thank you, Professor. And I'll hand now back to, thank you, Professor. Thank you, Dr. Venkatesan. Thank you, Harshita. I will hand it back now to Siddhi, if I can see her on the screen. If you will allow us one last slide, because I think there's a small little snippet that Boogie has prepared for us.
You want me to open that slide, Abhijit?
If possible, I think Boogie is going to try and do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, just lost the sharing. Give me a sec. Can you all see now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
My experience at Melbourne has been amazing. Personally, I'm a coffee connoisseur, and for people like me, it's a heaven.
It's been an amazing experience here at Melbourne. I did not expect the weather to be such dynamic. You can experience all the weathers in a single day.
I think Melbourne's a really pretty city, obviously very metropolitan. My friends and I went ice skating for the first time, very fun.
I found RMIT to be a unique experience for me. I talked to many professors. I attended some lectures as well. Talking to the professors made me realize that RMIT will be a unique and fruitful experience for me.
Visiting RMIT, it didn't feel like I'm visiting it for the first time. It was so welcoming. This visit has helped me in a lot of ways. Personally, immersing to another country and definitely another continent would be a lot easier when I come back.
Every student here, every professor here, every research student, they're all so excited to be where they are, and that definitely motivates you as a student to look at all these people and your peers and be like, okay, yeah, they're very passionate about their work, whether that be engineering or medicine or the arts, you know, journalism. Every person that I've spoken to here has been just so passionate about their work, and I feel like it's so motivating.
Thank
Over to
you.
you, Siddhi.
Thank you. Thank you for that last part, Boogie. It was beautiful. Yeah, so we'll take up the questions that we have from the attendees. And one of the questions that we have is how the iterations will run for all 4 different program types: BITS regular program, RMIT, UP, and Iowa, if someone has applied for all the 4 programs.
Yeah, so this iteration process, so the timelines of all the modes of admissions is going to be announced in next 3 days. Last date for all modes of admission is on 3rd of July. Now, students, those who have given preferences of all 4 programs, BITS regular program, it is 1, and the preference for the BITS RMIT, BITS UB, and BITS Iowa, the one Google form is going to be shared to the students, where they have to give their preferences separately, and then after collecting that, then only we are going to prepare a merit list separately for BITS RMIT, BITS Iowa, and BITS UB. Now, there is, of course, some deadline will be given to these 3 programs to accept the offer. If a candidate is not going to accept the offer by that date, then they will be removed from that particular programs and they can continue with other programs. So that is how this iteration process is. There was a question related to if somebody has not given a preference for BITS-RMIT, now can they do it? So yes, we are going to give one edit window on 4th and 5th. So 3rd is the deadline to submit the application form. If anybody would like to edit the preference, or if somebody has not given BITS-RMIT preference, then they can edit their preferences on 4th or 5th, and 5th 5 o'clock this is going to be the closed. The deadline is going to be closed on 5th July. Sorry, 5th July.
Thank you, sir. So this answers the another question, that how can they add priorities between the 4 program types. So this has been covered. Another question is someone who has already filled the application form, but
I have already answered.
Okay. Next is so the deadline for IELTS score that has already been communicated by Abhijit. It's July 31st. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes.
Abhijit.
Yeah, that's correct.
Thank you. The next question, and a frequent question, is can they change?
Lost your audio, Siddhi.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay. So the next question is it possible to change from this 2+2 program to the regular 4 years program in BITS? Is this transition possible?
No, that is not possible. So as long as the admission deadline is not closed, till that they can choose any of the programs. Once they have chosen the program, so parallelly all iterations can run, but once admission is done, after that there will be no transfer from BITS regular program to 2+2 program of any of the things. So students have to study in that particular program, irrespective of their performance, CGPA or anything.
Thank you. Does BITS offer any minors during 1st and 2nd year, like the regular BITS program?
No, that is again, if you see the complete curriculum of this 2+2 program, so it is made in such a way that students have to fulfill the requirement of both BITS as well as RMIT. So the credits which are going to be given in first 2 years is ultimately going to be recognized by the RMIT. And there is no such scope as such where students can take, so generally minor is what? When we offer minor programs, so student used to get about 5 to 6 open elective slots. And those 5 to 6 open elective slots, if they judiciously select, then generally they used to get a minor. Now here what happens that completing those 5 additional courses in first 2 years is not possible. So, and also the kind of courses which are prescribed in, say, your humanities electives or your discipline electives, those are also chosen in such a way so that your degree is completed in 4 years. If suppose somebody would like to take minor also, then it is not possible in 2+2 years, but it may take more time. So that is why. So I think the time is more important. Completing the degree in 4 years is more important than doing a minor. And also because a student is getting 2 degree in a particular, both are very specialized disciplines. So I don't see that minor is going to be required in those cases.
Thank you, sir. So in this way, sir has also covered the answer for this question, that what type of degree they will be getting after 4 years.
So yeah, so 2 degrees they are, I mentioned 2 degrees they are going to get. The degree which is going to be awarded by RMIT is going to be honors degree, and whatever degree is going to be awarded by BITS is Bachelor of Engineering. So RMIT is going to award you Bachelor of Science Honors a particular engineering, civil engineering or mechanical engineering, electrical, electronics and computer engineering, or software engineering. And in BITS Pilani is going to offer BE of civil, mechanical, all those things.
Thank you. Abhijit, would you please like to take up this question on placement opportunities?
Yeah, so universities, and so just to clarify, by placement opportunities, we're talking about employment opportunities straight out of on completion of the degree or in your final semester when you get recruited by companies on campus. So in Australia, that concept doesn't exist. So we don't have companies visiting Australian universities to recruit students from their final in their final year. What happens is that during your study in an Australian university, you are already doing capstone projects and other case studies and so on with industry partners. So you already get that connection with companies, and many of our students go on to work for those companies that they've done the projects with, or go on to do research projects with them. As Dr. Venkatesan and Professor Wang mentioned, our engineering programs have a graduate outcome, which means how many students get jobs after the degree. That graduate outcome percentage is as high as 88, 89% for some of our programs, meaning 88 to 89% of the graduates in any given year go on to get full-time employment in those fields. So they're working as engineers or they're working as consultants and so on with big industries. Now, we've maintained that high percentage for a number of years now, and that's what RMIT is renowned for. So it's not your typical placement drive that happens in Indian universities. It's a different kind. One of the things I would call out is that what happens in Australia is we have this thing called graduate opportunities. And all the big companies, government departments, and so on, what they do is they have graduate drives, and they run a graduate employment process where they hire fresh graduates. So they're looking for students who are about to finish or who have just finished. And that is one of the biggest employment opportunities that all of our students are eligible for, both local and international as well, with the appropriate work visa. So it's the idea, why we don't have the same placement function that BITS or some of the major Indian universities have, we still have a very high employment rate. Now, just a little bit of some facts. In Australia, the unemployment rate right now is something like 2.5% to 3%, meaning that 3% of the working population who are eligible to work are not in employment. So there is very high employment happening in Australia at the moment. It is projected to continue in that way for the next few years as well. So as a university, we are very confident that the majority of you will be will be eligible for those kind of options on completion. The other thing, and Professor Singh, if I'm able to share about students being eligible for the BITS placements as well, if you're able to add something around that.
BITS students also. So ultimately, BITS will allow them to participate in placement if they wish to do so. But I am sure that the kind of opportunity you are going to get in Australia, you are not going to apply. But BITS will definitely encourage that if suppose you face any problem or if you would like to sit in BITS placement, then BITS is going to allow you at that campus where you are going to be admitted. So say if you are a Pilani campus student, you can participate in placement interviews at Pilani campus at the time of your completion of your degree. Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is about the English proficiency tests like Duolingo and CAE. Are all these considered under the list? Yeah.
No, we're kind of restricting the list to IELTS, TOEFL, and Pearson's. This is because these tests serve two purposes. One, they will be used for entry requirements, and the other is you need them for your student visa in 2 years' time. So some of these other tests like Duolingo, etc., are not always recognized by the immigration office. So it's best to stick with IELTS, TOEFL, or Pearson's, just because the validity is going to be a bit wider and it's accepted by the government as well as the university.
In
We
fact,
are sharing
this
the website. If you want to go to RMIT website, English Language Proficiency Scores, then you can see the list of applicable proficiency tests that we can use for admissions purposes.
yeah, even in FAQ also we have mentioned that.
Yes.
So they can go through this.
And the next very frequent question is about the cost of living in RMIT, although this has already been covered in one of the slide of your presentation, Abhijit. Do you want to add anything to it?
Yes, I think, look, I know a lot of people are concerned about the cost of the expenses and the cost of living and so on. You can't compare it to the cost of living in India as such. So you have to make allowances for those expenses. The majority of our international students are working part-time. Now, those part-time salaries, so Australia has very strict rules around how much, what salary rates per hour and casual rates and rules. So it's not that, you'll be getting a lower rate than a local person or anything like that. Everyone gets paid the same rates as such. So for a lot of our students who are working part-time, especially international students, there's a restriction on the number of hours that you can work. But for most of them, the salary they get from those hours is usually sufficient for living costs. It is not sufficient for paying tuition fees and living costs, but definitely it helps a lot with the living costs as well. So something that you have to keep in mind is that the expenses that you have, and I've been looking at the chat, a lot of people are converting it to Indian rupees and commenting about whether it's low or high as such. Once you're in Melbourne, and once you have that part-time job as well, it becomes easier. And I'm speaking from experience of being an international student. 20 years ago, I was an international student, and for the first month, even spending $1 was a lot of money for me, because I'm not spending 50 rupees on a newspaper. So until you will get used to that conversion, and then things will become easier. So we have one of the largest Indian student populations coming across as students. So please rest assured that it is with the part-time jobs and accommodation that is available to share houses, the public transport, it is definitely, it is manageable.
Thank you, Abhijit. That covers the answer to this question. Next is the question that revolves around the merit scholarships for the entire program of 4 years.
Yeah, so I think already we have discussed. So last 2 years they are going to get this 20% scholarship, but in first 2 years they are not going to get any scholarship, including merit scholarship.
I think that's all we have covered. We have tried to cover all the questions that we have got from our audience. Yeah.
And if any questions still is there, I think we will be able to include it in our FAQ.
Yes.
So in fact, most of the questions already we have covered in FAQ. They can go through that and share. Otherwise, they can write to us and then we can address those things.
So in the BITS-RMIT Academy section on the BITS admissions website, there is one email address which is mentioned there, which looks something like bitsrmit.fd. You can forward your queries, whatever you have. You can write to us and we'll try our best to answer all your queries. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. So the reporting has stopped, yeah? The recording.